The Union government has tabled the Waqf Amendment Bill, as you can see, and allotted 8 hours of discussion in the Lok Sabha. Union Minister Kiren Rijiju has slammed the opposition for misleading Muslims and said that the bill seeks to improve the administration of Waqf properties, introduce tech-driven management, address complexities and ensure transparency. The government also says that the bill will improve inclusivity by ensuring the presence of Sunnis, Shias, Bohras, Pasmandas and women in the administrative process. Over the next 30 minutes, we will take you through what has been changed in the bill. First, let's take a look at the 10 big changes brought by this bill and what changes from the 1995 amendment. In fact, I'm going to go over to the big screen and show you what are some of the changes that will be instituted in this particular amendment. Of course, so the new name is Waqf Act 1995 has been renamed as Ummeed, which is United Waqf Management, Empowerment, Efficiency and Development Act 1995. And this is the number one change that we are talking about. There are, of course, stricter rules for declaring Waqf properties. Only a Muslim individual who has actively followed Islam for at least 5 years can declare a property as Waqf property. This was something which was not taking place in the past, and that's why this amendment is very important. Waqf by user concept eliminated. Religious property cannot automatically become Waqf based on purpose. It has to have the proper paper, it has to have the proper lineage, it also has to have the proper propriety. Any property previously owned by the government and mistakenly recorded as Waqf will be restored. This is something which of course has happened multiple times in the past. District collector will investigate if any dispute arises over property ownership. This is also a big change which is being proposed in this amendment. The Waqf board can no longer decide whether a property should be classified as Waqf. There is going to be a team of people, a committee which is going to decide whether this is something that can be done. The district collector will now oversee the survey of Waqf properties. It used to be done randomly, it was done arbitrarily. That will change. Union Minister for Waqf will continue to serve as the head of this committee as well as this Waqf council. The MPs, former judges and other experts no longer require Muslim identity. That used to be the criteria, and obviously that has been done away with. Representatives from Muslim organizations, Islamic scholars and Waqf board chairpersons must be Muslims. They will be a part of this committee, but only to a certain capacity based on religion. At least 2 Muslim women must be part of the council, which was something which was not allowed, and this is obviously a part of the government's push towards inclusivity as well. State governments will appoint members to the Waqf board. So obviously the role of the government is also going to be very, very important here. The big change, each board must include at least 2 non-Muslim members as well. This is going to be important just to make sure that the changes and the recommendations by the Waqf are not arbitrary. Representation is required from Shia, Sunni, backward Muslim communities as well, which was not being done in the past. If Bohra and Aga Khani communities hold Waqf properties in a state, they will have 1 representative each as well. This was also something which was not being followed in the Waqf law. Current or former district judge, current or former joint secretary level officer, Muslim law scholars no longer included in decision making panel. It is going to be a scientific board, and people can now challenge Waqf tribunal decisions in the High Court within 90 days. This was something which was not allowed in the past. It is something which should be duly noted and regulated. Waqf property registration and financial records are to be maintained. There are thousands and thousands of properties by the Waqf, but of course there is still confusion over what is what. Supervision of Waqf board activities is also something that the central government is going to get into. The audit of Waqf accounts by the Controller and Auditor General, which is the CAG instead of state auditors, is going to be in fact instituted. A very, very important decision that has been taken. And what changes? The name of the act is obviously renamed. The formation of Waqf allowed by declaration, user or endowment, but this bill says that this removes Waqf by user, only declaration or endowment allowed. Donors must be practicing Muslims for 5+ years, cannot deny female inheritance, which was the case earlier on as well. The government property as Waqf, the government properties identified as Waqf cease to be Waqf They will go back to the government. Disputes resolved by the collector who reports to the state. So again, the state will take ownership. Power to determine Waqf provision has been removed. There's obviously going to be a huddle which is going to decide whether a particular property can be named Waqf or not. It was done arbitrarily in the past. Survey of Waqf, collectors empowered to conduct surveys as per state revenue law. So obviously the ambit of the state as well as the central government has been greatly increased in this point. The Central Waqf Council is also something which will include 2 non-Muslims. MPs, former judges, eminent persons need to be Muslims. The following members must be Muslims: representatives of Muslim organizations, scholars in Islamic law, chairpersons of Waqf boards of the Muslim members. 2 must be women as well. There's nothing wrong with that. It is something which also promotes diversity and inclusion as well. This is the Waqf Amendment Bill 2024 that we are talking about. The state Waqf boards, state government, they will nominate members including 2 non-Muslims, 1 each from Shia, Sunni, backward class Muslims. Like I said, this was something that was not happening before, which also led to a lot of problems when it came to the concept or the idea of Waqf. The tribunal composition, Muslim law expert has been removed. This includes district court judges, who's going to be the chairman, and a joint secretary from the state government as well. So basically the idea is to give semblance to the way the Waqf has been operating. There was not much clarity in the way, in fact, a number of these properties came upon their possession. What was the modus operandi that was being used? Was it arbitrary? Was it based on orphan properties which nobody wanted to claim, or was the law in fact misrepresented? Well, appeal on tribunal orders are allowed in high courts within 3 months. Powers of central government. Central government, of course, is empowered to make rules on Waqf for registration accounts and audits, and separate Waqf boards for sex also allows Bohra and Aga Khani Waqf boards to be a part. This was something that was not happening, and most of these minority communities were not part of this entire process, or shall I say the Waqf activities. We'll talk about this with our guest. Joining us on the show is Mr. Firoz Bakht Ahmed, former Vice Chancellor of the Maulana Azad University, Sabia Ahmed, spokesperson, Impar Media, Ashwini Dubey, advocate on record, Supreme Court, also joins us on the show, Mr. A.N. Mittal, former Justice, Allahabad High Court, and last but by no means the least, Mr. Nikhil Chandwani. He's an influencer and somebody who, of course, understands the granularities of what is going on over here. Ashwini, I'll begin with you. Well, of course, we got to hear a lot of for and against this proposition of having a new way that the Waqf is going to function. Do you see anything wrong with what the government has proposed? They basically seem to be putting some structure to the Waqf board. They basically seem to be putting a lot of effort in making sure that there are no loose ends, Ashwini, and there are people who should be part of this community, there are people who should not be part of this community, and that should be put on paper.
If my view are concerned, Vinit bhai, this act should not exist and it should have been abolished. But in any way, after 1954, in 2025, there are some changes, little changes, but I have an objection to the provision where section 4E says that it does not have a retrospective cutoff date, meaning thereby with respect to the individuals who have donated their properties to the board. So far as the government properties are concerned, that right exists with the government. But so for the individual, rightly or wrongly, arbitrarily, if it is vested with the Waqf board, they cease to have the right, and that amendment was with the ruling coalition parties like Jadyu and TDPs. They wanted that retrospective date should be not there with respect to the properties and mass. Vinit bhai, in our country, while time and again, I'm going to the another aspect. In our country, constitution establishes 3 types of court. One is the union judiciary, which we call the Supreme Court under Article 124, 146. Do the high courts under Article 214 and 231, and the subordinate courts under Article 233 to 237. Even if property dispute is there with respect to any individual should approach to the civil court. Civil court, based on the evidentiary value, evidences will decide whether the dispute and adjudicate the dispute. But here, this draconian law, if a member of the Waqf board or mutawalli or any surveyor says that, look, this property is mine, then the civil court ceases to have the jurisdiction. So the constitution, if we preach and say that it's a dharm-nirpeksh desh, the laws were not dharm-nirpeksh. It were giving autonomy to a particular community which had a right to declare any property as a Waqf property. Now, two, we live in a country where a judicial review is a fundamental right. But here, if we say Vinit Bhai, the Waqf Act 1954 amended up to 2013 does not give the power to judicial review. So therefore, the amendment was needed. Number, if somebody's property has been wrongly or rightly vested in the Waqf board, and Waqf board and the tribunal comes to the decision that, look, the Waqf board has a right as of now over this property, then no judicial review is available. It's a tribunal decision is final and binding. There are other tribunals in the country, NCLT, NCLAT, then the Company Law Tribunal, the Seagate, then Arms Tribunal. The appeal to those tribunals lies to either to the High Court or the Supreme Court. And it is a classic tribunal existing in the country where there was no appeal. So this was needed. Now, 3 minute Bhai, if you see the 2013 amendment, at the time when Salman Khurshid ji was the Minority Affairs Minister, one clause was arbitrarily added into that the person aggrieved can only make a representation to the Waqf Tribunal or Waqf Board that he is a person aggrieved means Vinit Bhai, if somebody has a right, Waqf Board members are saying, Mutawalli saying, surveyor says that, look, this park belongs to the Waqf. Then person individual, if I am a neighbor of that area, I am not the person aggrieved. And if I am not the person aggrieved, then my right, my protest, which will be lodged before the Waqf board, will not be having any value, and that will be directly or indirectly that will be rejected. That is the another draconian provision which was there. Now section 40 Vinit Bhai of the Waqf Act empowers the Waqf board to decide if a property is a Waqf property. Means the Waqf board would decide that this property belongs to the Waqf board only. And if individual says, no, it's my property, then there was no right. Why? Because there was a Muslim MLA, Muslim MP, Muslim IS, Muslim town planner, Muslim advocate, Muslim scholar, Muslim mutawalli, and they all were paid from the public exchequer. Vinit bhai, एक बड़ी simple सी बात है. If we say that we live in a country जो secular है, धर्म निरपेक्ष, तो कानून धर्म आधारित क्यों? Meaning thereby, jamidari pratha was abolished in our country, but in the form of Waqf board, there was new jamidari pratha invented. Jahan jameen keh li, Kartavya Path, Rajpath, Lucknow, then the Shirdi Sai Baba Mandir, 1500 saal purana gaon, 1500 saal purane mandir, sab waqf ka hai, people have to leave. Means in our own country, we have to live and we have to pay taxes if the property is declared to the Waqf board. So therefore, this amendment was much needed, but in future, we expect that this would be having the retrospective. Though the law says that any law would be having the retrospective cut-off date, but इस देश में Places of Worship Act भी exist करता है जिसकी retrospective date of effect है 15 अगस्त 1947, and therefore it should have a retrospective date of effect. I myself have been approached by many Muslims from the Rajasthan, Vinit bhai, जो कहते हैं मेरी property को गलत तरीके से वक्फ बोर्ड ने ले लिया. Means even it is not against the Hindu, Jain, Baudd, Judaism, Parsis, Christians. It was against the Muslims also. And that is why, Vinit bhai, this amendment was much needed and in the larger interests of the country. Over to you.
All right, valid points there. This amendment was much needed. Mr. Bakht Ahmed, do you think that this amendment was much needed? And for a long time, you know, the workings as well as the way in which the Waqf operated, has been a problem, has been under the radar, but not much was done. Sir, I can't hear you. You're muted, it seems.
Just a minute.
Go on, sir. I can hear you now.
Just a minute.
Go on, sir. I can hear you.
Am I audible to you?
Yes,
Go on, please.
Okay, fine. Thank you so much. You see, much of what actually I had to say, Mr. Dubey has already expressed his views on that. And is absolutely bang on target that this draconian law is actually the biggest, loophole as far as legality of Waqf board is concerned. And let me tell you one thing, I can add something to the illegality of this Waqf board system, that of the 13,000 odd cases in the tribunal itself, 12,000 cases come from Muslims. Because as he was saying that, the property of many Muslims, which was their private property, has been encroached upon has been actually taken over by the Waqf board. So that is the thing which is really terrible. One thing. Second thing is that the basic. Am I audible to you?
So keep talking unless I tell you you're not,
Hello.
sir. So keep speaking unless I tell you,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you so much. Some call is coming. Na, that's why I was asking. Now you see the second thing is, in all probability, we all know that this bill will be passed in the parliament. Number one. I am coming to the most important point that after the bill is passed, the community should wait and watch how it goes about. And all those perpetrators of Waqf land, the opposition party leaders, maybe from Muslims or, of course, from Muslims like Owaisi brothers, like Koki Raza Khan, and many other. All these people, they are grieving because they have encroached upon, they have taken the property of the Waqf board themselves, right? So what these people should do is, that they should, give their suggestions, positive suggestions, that once it starts working, there should be a legal committee, there should be a committee for education, there should be a committee.
Your frame is completely tilted, sir. If you could just please adjust your camera. So let me come back to you momentarily. Let me also rope in Sabia Ahmed, spokesperson Impar, also into this conversation. Sabia ji, taking a leaf out of what Ashwini said, that it's a draconian law. Forget about the amendment. Ashwini is of the opinion, and so is Mr. Buck, that this should not exist at all. All of this should fall under the purview of the great Indian law machinery.
See, you have given my introduction as Impar spokesperson, but I am mainly a Sunni Waqf Board member of Uttar Pradesh Sunni Central Waqf Board member. It's been more than 3 years that I'm working as a Sunni Waqf Board member. I have been to various cities and districts of Uttar Pradesh to examine, to invest, to see those Waqf properties. And one thing is definitely true, that whatever, if we are intending to progress any Waqf property, then it is necessary to have coordination with the prashasan, with the administration, with the police. Without that support, progress or development of any property is not possible. So in that case, I feel it is a good opportunity that if the works of work development will be done, it will be with the collaboration, with the amalgamation of the government. So definitely it's a welcome point. But if we even for the Muslim community, I will like to say one thing, that it's a time that we need to open up. We really need to open up, because without opening up, without amalgamating with the government, and when I say government, that not necessarily mean BJP. When I say government, that means any government, whichever ruling government is there, be it Samajwadi, be it Congress, be it BJP, any government, to progress a land, to develop a place, to improve a section, we need to be in coordination with the prashasan, with the administration. Because I have worked with these work properties, I have seen how difficult it is to get the work done. So, and finally, we always look towards local administration, and it's the wonderful cooperation of that local administration. Then we are able to bring some positive changes in those work properties. As a work board member, I have been to Andaman and Nicobar work properties also. I have been to Kerala work properties also. I have seen the difference, the kind of work. I have been to Haryana work also. I have seen those places. Amazing work, very nice works are going on there, and in Uttar Pradesh also, a few of the places works are going on well. So now, when we are at this moment, when we are talking about this Waqf bill or amendments, then it's necessary to understand that without the amalgamation, without the coordination of the government to bring a change, or to bring a positive change in any place, to bring prosperity, to convert into a profitable place, it's not possible. It is necessary to be in coordination with the prashasan. But no, that doesn't
Very
mean
true, very true. Well
that
said.
doesn't mean that everything is 100% good. I won't say with that thing also, because definitely there are certain flaws also. Like when they are saying that work by user documentation will be required. Uh, it's not possible. Please try to understand. Some muhlat should be given, some time should be given, 3 years, 5 years, to present those documents, to show those documents. It's very difficult to present those documents and prove whether it's a buff by user property or not. So and at that point I feel certain things government should consider. It should think about those things. Similarly, when they are saying that there should be two women Waqf board members. Already we are two women Waqf board members here in Uttar Pradesh.
But
And
ma'am, that
but
may not be the case everywhere else, right? I also want to bring in Nikhil into this conversation. Nikhil, what do you understand of the Waqf bill, and how is it likely to, improve the way in which this religious body has functioned? Obviously, there has been, for the lack of a better word, Nikhil, a monopoly of sorts in the way which they have conducted their affairs. And a lot of experts also feel that they have done so under the garb of being a religious minority. Where do you stand on this, Nikhil?
Absolutely. The first thing I need to do is I need to be absolutely clear to the online audience who have no idea what the work code is, and they are debating everywhere online and it's creating chaos everywhere. So the work code in India today, it's not a religious institution. It has become the most powerful, unaccountable, and dangerous land mafia operating under the grab of so-called secularism. The online audience needs to understand that, and in 5 points, I can actually prove that why, like what I'm saying, is true. So first, the work code has land control without any accountability. The online audience need to know that the Waqf board, they own 6 lakh acres of land in this country. That's more
No,
than,
9.5 lakh acres.
oh, it's now 9.5 lakh acres.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. So that's actually more than Indian Railways
That's a
in some
country,
states.
Nikhil. That's a country in
Yes,
itself.
that's a country in itself. And that's more than Indian Railways in some states. But here's the catch. There's nobody to audit. In 2025, Waqf Board is the only alive board in India where there is no audit whatsoever. They are not answerable to the public, not even to the government. And in a secular country like India, how can a religious body hold this kind of unchecked power? Then you have, the Waqf Board, they can declare your land as theirs. Under the Waqf Act, they can declare any property as their land, even private land, temple land, as we saw in Tamil Nadu, even government land, as it is happening in Delhi right now. And the worst part,
In fact, Nikhil,
the
some churches have also been claimed by the Waqf board.
yes, some churches in Kerala has also been claimed by the Waqf board. And the worst part is the burden of proof is on you. It is not on them. This is anti-constitutional, to be
That's a great
honest, and
point.
this is legal terrorism, and we have seen it played out in Tamil Nadu, in Karnataka, even in Telangana. Whose country is this? Ours or the Waqf board? Are we slaves of Waqf board or something? Then you have discrimination against Hindus, and this is something which a lot of people are talking about now. Finally, you have Hindu temples which are controlled by the government. Every rupee that we collect at temples, it's audited, and yet Hindu priests, they are living in poverty. Meanwhile, the Waqf board, they enjoy complete, full, total freedom, full autonomy, and billions in asset with zero scrutiny. Why this bias? Why this discrimination? Is this secularism or selective appeasement? Then you have land jihad. This is a term which is again gaining some popularity, but people need to understand it is absolutely real. This is happening under the surface, and it is coming out of land jihad. Whatever is happening right now, work properties, they are popping up on temple lands, public parks. Every railway station you go, there's a work property. There's something or the other built over there, and it's all done without permission. And if you protest, you are branded as communal. Sorry, this is not communal. This is protecting our civilization, our property, and our constitution, and this amendment will actually ensure that. Then the last point, which I guess we all know, and it is about the political vote bank tool. Successive governments, you have Congress, HP, the RJD, you name it, they have all used work board as a vote bank machine. Special budget allocations were done, land gifts, tax exemptions. But what about Hindus who are persecuted in the Pakistans and the Bangladesh are here in our own cities? Where is their buff? Where is their rights? Where is their protection? It's nowhere. And that is why this amendment which is happening, the online community, they need to understand it's a very good bill. Your Supreme Court is a government land. If somebody else takes it away, we'll have no justice
Okay,
anywhere.
let me bring in, yeah, valid points there. Let me bring in Mr. Mittal as well. Mr. Mittal, in fact, Akhilesh Yadav in the Lok Sabha went on to target the government, saying that the government is using this bill as a guise, or rather as a ruse, to distract the common man from its own failings. Now, this is not the line the opposition can use every time there is an amendment or there is a betterment or a transformation that comes through.
Thank you. And wherever there is any opposition, it is purely and purely for the vote bank. I completely agree with the views of Mr. Ashwini Dubey, AOR, Supreme Court, and very valid points have been raised by him. Now, I pose a question to all the panelists. Suppose I am visiting a temple and a pickpocketer pickpockets my purse and offers into the temple. I say to the pujari, sir, I am not interested in offering all the money of my purse to the temple, so please give me back it. The pujari says that no, this matter will go to the Mandir Prabandhak Samiti, Temple Management Committee. The matter goes with the Temple Management Committee. And the Temple Management Committee says no, it has been offered to the god, therefore it is the property of the god. Now, where I should go? That is the real picture of the Waqf. Whether any person has a right over the land which has been upon which the Waqf has been created or not, it is not seen. I may also tell the audience as well as the panelists that since 1990 to 1994, I have been civil judge Lucknow, and in Lucknow there is Shia Sunni Waqf Board and Sunni Central Waqf Board, and I have decided hundreds of cases relating to Waqf, because before 1995 amendment, the jurisdiction was with the civil judge senior division. All the problem has arose after 1995, and much problem has arose after 2013 amendment. The Congress party was well within the expectation that they will not come back to the power. Therefore, they brought some amendment in some laws which were not as per the constitution. What was the need to amend the act in the 2013? And after the amendment, they also handed over 123 properties of Delhi, of very, very costly lands and buildings. Similarly, an amendment was made in the Land Acquisition Act saying that 4 times of the market value shall be paid, because they were not coming into the power. And to take the benefit of the farmers, they made this law. So basically, law, as we see, is ever changing, but it must be changed for the benefit of
the society. So we've run out of time as well, but appreciate everybody who weighed in on this. Thank you so much. This is obviously a matter which will be concluded in the Lok Sabha today. The voting is going to be happening, and we are going to be keeping a very close eye on all those developments. We are also going to be discussing the pitfalls as well as the benefits, the advantages of doing away with certain provisions of the Waqf Bill 1995. We'll be right back.